specifically on client food databases that they're going to be working with, because that's of course a very big part of their experience with macro tracking, is having a solid food database and having something that's easy to work with for them so they can easily track their macros. And we have a really solid database inside of MyCoach Ai, but today's video is about explaining a little bit how that works, but also on how you and your client can optimize this food database over time, making it easier and easier for the client to do their tracking. Really, really important that we reduce that friction as much as possible so they accurately do their tracking. So again, two sides. From the client side, there's optimization, and then from the coach's side, there is also optimization. The first part I want to take you to is here in the libraries section. We have our foods section. So it's not meal plans, it's not meals. This is the foods section. Also, read ingredients, right? It's pretty much exactly what this is. It's the ingredients inside of MyCoach Ai. Now, we have a very large food database already. You can look into that, see all of the ingredients, see the nutrients attached to it for all of those foods, and of course, search them up as well. And this is the default food database that your clients are going to be working with. But to give a little bit of more context, I want to go to the client side and show you how exactly that food database interacts with them. So if we hop here over to the client side, who has nutrition attached, and I go to the track foods section, you will notice a couple different options when I go to add food. By default, what they can do is, of course, search foods within our food database. And again, this is very big. We have our verified foods section here, and this verified foods section contains over 450,000 ingredients, verified, ready to go for them to start using. But there's actually a lot more that they can use, because other options than searching for them include, for example, the scanners. And there's two types. There's barcode scanners, and then there is also a nutrition label scanner. Now, the barcode scanner, actually has the ability to recognize a lot more ingredients than just the verified ones in our system. If you scan barcodes, across the board, for example, linked to the USDA database, our system can recognize those and use those ingredients, even if they're not set foods, that have a barcode with the verified foods database. So the scanner is very, very useful, and even broader use for adding certain ingredients. The second type of scanner is a nutrition label scanner, and this is really useful for unknown foods, ones that are not recognized by our system by barcode or not in our verified foods database. Because with that label scanner, you can simply scan the label of your product, and AI will take that information, such as the nutritional information, the servings, these type of things, from the label and import it so that you can still use it as an ingredient. And then they can even just save it to their database for future use. And the same is true with this quick add. This is also a way to add new ingredients to the system that you otherwise could not find through barcodes or searching them. And you can just create brand new ingredients as a client. But the important thing to note here is that once a client does that, it is purely for them. Any ingredient that a client creates through their label scanner or through this quick add feature right here will be just added to their personal database for future tracking. It will not be added across the board for other clients as well, so we keep things nice and organized. And so over time, your client kind of develops their own little database, and if they encounter new ingredients that are not in our existing databases, they can simply add it and still use it. And so over time, it gets a lot easier for them. It's very easy to do. They fill in the name of the food, serving sizes and such. Of course, the nutrition. Once they fill in the carbs, fats, and proteins, the calories auto-calculate, and they can even work with micronutrients if they'd like to. So adding all of the details, and then they just add and save to My Foods. That's what we were just talking about, the My Food section. So in the future, after adding it, when they go to search foods, they have a section here called My Foods, and this allows them to take all of their foods that they have added as well and simply add them to their tracking. Once again, this My Food section is personal to every specific client. And that's a very big deal, because that allows them to, over time, create their own food database, right? They start with, of course, hopefully encountering as much ingredients as possible that are already in our system and easy for them to add. Of course, it's possible that they find certain ingredients that are not available. But if they just get into the habit of initially creating those ingredients, adding them to their database to track easily moving forward, we very quickly find that they start having to do that less and less, and the ingredients they actually use day to day are just included in there. So that is from the client side, a lot of other optimization to do to just get the ultimate client experience. But there's one more thing on the coaches side that we can also do for us as coaches to help our clients with this tracking. And that goes back to that database that we were just looking at before under libraries and then the foods section, aka the ingredients. And what we can do here, you see it in the top right already, is create new foods. Now, a key difference with what I just showed you on the client side is that creating new foods here, add this globally to your food database for all of your clients to be able to track. These are ingredients that you add into your system and then are given access to for any client under you. So different. Again, if the client creates their own ingredient, it's just for them personally to use in the future. Creating ingredients here, make sure it's available for all of your clients across the board. So that's super useful. If you have certain protein powder brands that you work with and want to add those into the system, if they're not already, you can absolutely do that. If you hear from your clients that certain foods they cannot find and maybe you just want to add it in for them, you can do that across the board here. And you have super similar options, right? So to create a certain food, you fill in similar details like the food title, brand name, more detailed description if needed. You add these servings and the amount per servings, add in the food macros, and of course, once again, the nutrients, the micronutrients in specific, you can add here all to give all of the details. And once you add that food in once, it's added to the foods database. That also means that you as a coach can now use it in meals and meal plans everywhere across the board. But very importantly for this video, the clients get given access to track these foods that you have manually added to the system to make their tracking even easier. And that's pretty much it. So once again, we start with a big food database and the option to both search within our verified foods, over 450,000, and a lot of other foods outside of those 450,000 available too by simply scanning the barcode. It is also very easy to create new ingredients for the clients by using the quick add feature, or for example, just scanning the nutrition label and adding in as a new food. And with that, over time, tracking becomes easier and easier as the ingredients that they actually use just get added to the system if they were not yet. And then lastly, you as a coach can optimize right here in the foods section, adding things to the database, trackable for all clients under you across the board. Improves a lot with the tracking. Again, over time, it is meant to make it easier and easier for clients. You can support them with that as well. But we found that if clients get into the habit and you get into the habit of adding a few foods here and there wherever needed, it is significantly improving tracking quickly over time. And now you know how that works. You know a little bit about the foods database inside of MyCoach Ai. And if you want to learn more about our nutrition features and how we do macro tracking, because of course that's not really something we went over in full today in this video, but we have awesome content on it. So go check out the rest of the channel. Also go check out our website. We have a link in our description that takes you to a full product demo of our system. And you can just also get started for absolutely free to check all of these things out yourself. Clicking around is the best way to learn. So go do that and we'll see you soon on the inside, or I'll see you in the next video.